Hi there, thank you for tuning in. I thought it's high time I did another video. I haven't done a video for a little while because I haven't got a studio at the moment. And the other thing is, as you can see, my leg has got a Liz Rovi on there. What happened, I had a motorcycle accident, very serious one 9 years ago. Both my legs were smashed and my right arm was smashed as well. I've got all metal work in my legs and everything. This one, from my kneecap to my hip, basically was completely demolished on both sides. But this side was worse because it's a motorcycle accident and the car hit me on this side and completely smashed this leg. As a result, I've been walking around with one crutch, with one leg longer than the other one. So now this one, they're actually extending this from my knee joint to my ankle, which is arthritic as well. I've got no cartilage left in it. They're extending that by 3 centimeters, so they're both the same length. Basically, both my legs are the same length. So that's why I haven't got a studio set up. I haven't got a workbench or anything. So that's why I haven't been posting. But I'm well physically. I'm well, as you can see. I'm not living in England anymore, and I'm not like to come back either because I don't know if I've mentioned it in other videos, but during the COVID time in end of 2020, my wife had to come to South America to have an operation on her eye, which the NHS couldn't do in the UK. So she came here. We all came over here, and we had the flight all booked to come back. But then COVID really came about, and there was travel restrictions, and they cancelled the flight. And we made 4 more bookings for flights. They cancelled all 4. So in the end, sort of mid May 2021, we thought, sod it, we might as well just live here, not bother going back. So I had my flat taken care of and the car taken care of there, and we live here now in South America. In South America, unfortunately, it's not easy to. We've just about got Amazon here, but it doesn't work the same as UK Amazon. And basically, when you buy something, you're stuck with it. So I've done an awful lot of research, and I found that the M2 seemed to have the best vibes about it. It was between 3 interfaces actually, between the Volt 276. Also the Audient ID14 Mark II, and also the SSL 2 Plus. That's what it was between. And I was gonna go for the Audient, but I kept seeing things saying it doesn't work well with Windows and it's much better on Macs, and my PC is a Windows 10. I'm not about to buy another laptop, so the Motu's got a good reputation with laptops, and this Motu is the very latest technology. It's got ESS Sabre 32-bit DACs in it, which you can't really get much higher technology. You can see on the back there it advertises all of that. It's upside down, there we go. If you can see that, it says it uses the latest technology. It's got some very good and hyped up reviews on the internet, and it sells the most on Amazon. So I thought, okay, I'll take a chance on it. So I bought this. It came yesterday, and this is to replace my trusty M box here. The only reason why I wanted to change this M box is because Windows 10 keeps knocking out my drivers for this. It's hard enough to get them in the first place, the drivers, but it keeps deleting my drivers and then saying, I don't know, I have to keep reloading my drivers every time Windows 10 updates. It's a right pain. And recently I haven't been able to even use this on Windows at all. So if I wanted to listen to music in YouTube or Spotify or wherever, I wouldn't be able to use this. I couldn't use it either with Audacity because it just wasn't even recognized on my Windows system. So I thought, right, I'll get another interface, and I pulled the trigger on this one. So I was trying it yesterday. I plugged it into thing, and it's fine. It's hooked up straight away. I mean, it's a good looking interface, really good looking display, solid metal, everything's metal knobs. It's got everything I need on here, pretty much. A MIDI in and out USB-C cable, which is actually a USB 2, not a 3. And then you've got sort of mirrored outputs there for monitor outputs, mirrored, so you get a 1/4 inch and a RCA as well. You've got an on and off switch there, which is always good to see. And then you've got a couple of TRS inputs here with their own independent phantom power, which is great. So yeah, it looked pretty good, and it's very good quality. It feels very good quality. But as I say, I tried this out yesterday, and with Google and with YouTube and all that, playing songs, and I thought this doesn't quite sound right. The sound stage seemed very small to me for some reason. It seemed like everything was in the middle, like mono, with just a little bit around the outsides, and I thought, it sounds quite harsh as well on the vocals, and I noticed that straight away when I plugged that in, having used this M-Box for so long. And so I put it on Cakewalk, my program, and played a few of my songs there, and I had to adjust quite a lot of the tracks in that, because it just didn't seem to sit right. The stereo separation wasn't quite there, and also the dynamics weren't there. I had to turn up on the drum sets, I had to turn up compression and stuff like that to make them sound a little bit more alive. I thought there's something funny here, not quite right. And so I loaded the drivers again for my M-Box, and I managed to get Windows to recognize my M-Box by fiddling about with the system a bit. Apparently you've got to disable some group policies within your Windows 10 PC in order for it to accept drivers for this unit. So I actually managed to get it working on Windows as well as in Cakewalk, and I listened to the same tracks that I listened to today on this, that I listened to the day before on the Motu, and the difference was stunning. My God, the M-Box sounds so much better than this Motu. And this M-Box came out in, I think it was, it's pretty old. It's about, it came out in it's about 20 years old, this M-Box, basically. So yeah, you're talking about 2002, something like that, it came out. Whereas this Motu is only a couple of years it's been out for, this Motu, since 2020. So you would expect the new DACs to be fantastic, with all the spec sheet, the ultra low noise and everything like that. You would expect them to be brilliant and absolutely slaughter this old piece of kit there, but that hasn't been the case at all, by a long way. This M-Box sounds absolutely fantastic. It's got a brilliant sound stage. Dynamics are much better. It's just fantastic. And this Motu is like a piece of junk. I thought that I might have got a cloned product or something, or a fake product, because it was so bad, but it isn't. I've checked it up and everything. It's not fake. It's got all the serial numbers and everything it should have. And I can't see any reason why you would want to fake a budget interface like this anyway. I mean, maybe some of the more expensive ones. This here, I mean, this has got more on it, in fact. This has got 2 headphone outputs, one of them on the front there, 1/4 inch. On the front panel here, you can probably see it's got 2, it tells you whether you're mic line or instrument there. You can select the source with a button there. You've got a phantom power indicator there. Obviously this is 2-channel as well, the same as the M2. But here you've got an input playback knob, so you can see how much you want of the actual playback, or you can have 0 latency by swinging it around to input, which you haven't got on this one, on the M2. The Motu M4 has got that sort of thing, but the M2 hasn't. And then you've got separate headphone volume with a small jack there. You've got a mono button as well, which you haven't got in the M2. On the back here, you can see you've got another headphone input. You've got a USB type B socket. I think it's USB 2, which is the same as the Motu, but the Motu's got one of those small sockets. Is it the C type socket it's called? This is a B type, which I prefer actually because they're more sturdy. Now this is very interesting. You've got SP diff in and out. You haven't got that on the Motu, either the M4 nor the M2. Here you've got some inserts which you haven't got as well on the Motu, as well as some 6.3 millimeters or 1/4 inch inputs, and you've got a couple of TRS inputs. So obviously you can use all sorts of mics on there. You've got a lot of gain input on this as well for mics. So I've never had a problem with anything, with hissing or anything. It's been very, very good. But yeah, this is has seen better times. You know, the knobs are a bit sticky. I can no longer clean the cabinet because it's faded, but it's all working. It's working fine. And but this Motu, what a disappointment. Everyone was bigging it up. They were saying how fantastic it was, and I've looked for probably about a month and a half about all of these things. You know, I was almost going to get the Audient ID14, but I saw some reports that it doesn't like Windows, and Motu has been known to be good with Windows, which it is good with Windows. I had no problems with the drivers on for a Windows 10 machine. But yeah, the sound quality is unbelievably inferior to the M-Box, inferior. And for me, yeah, features are nice and everything, and stable drivers are really nice, but if it just doesn't sound good, then I'm not interested. I've done a lot of work with D2A converters, as you possibly might know, listening to this. I've been electronics engineer in the musical instrument division, so I've worked with Roland for 33 years. Both I've worked with Yamaha as well as a contractor there. I've worked with Alesis as a contractor there, and I've been authorised by Korg, Behringer, Marshall, Fender, you name it, a load of different companies. Tascam interfaces are very nice, by the way, as well. They sound really nice. I never worked with Motu before. This is my first dealings with Motu, but I tell you, I don't think I'm ever going to get another Motu again, because it just it doesn't sound good to me. But don't get me wrong, I'm not going to diss Motu completely, because if you're new to buying an interface, the Motu's a pretty good option if you're on a Windows PC anyway. This here is very, very old, so you would only be able to get it second hand. But I'm just really making this video to show that, you know, the latest technology, all this 196 kilohertz, 32-bit and all that, it's not everything it purports to be, really, because at the end of the day, 196 kilohertz will reproduce frequencies that are so far outside the human hearing. Never mind the human hearing, dog hearing and bat hearing. All you need really is 44.1 at 16-bit to get a decent sound. And when you're recording, you just need 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. That's all you need for professional recording. You don't really need more than that, because if you're going to do an audio CD with it, you've got to mix down to 44.1 and 16-bit anyway. If you're doing something for film or TV, generally it's 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. So 196 kilohertz is totally over the top. But not only that, people don't realize actually the higher the rate you sample at, the more memory you take up in your computer as well. And some of the files get enormous. And you know, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I don't think that this M2, if I recorded it at the very, very highest quality, it could actually match the M box, to be honest with you, because the sound stage is just not there. The quality is just not there. I think if I recorded with that at the highest resolution, I think the sound would become very, very thin and sterile, as it tends to do with these modern DACs, really. This DAC, I don't know what's in there, but I would suspect Burr Brown or something like that, which are really good DACs. I mean, obviously, being an electronics engineer as long as I have, I know a bit about DACs. And I know that Burr Brown and Crystal Semiconductor, they make very, very good DACs. But obviously, my favourite DAC is actually the first DAC that was introduced by Philips, which is the 1540, which is a mono DAC, and it's 14-bit DAC. It's the first DAC produced by Philips, and you know, I've done some work and modifications on CD players, and I actually modified the 1540 DAC from a Philips. I reclocked it and I took the oversampling off, and the resultant sound is absolutely fantastic. And I used to buy a lot of early Philips players in, and Marantz as well, very early first and second generation CD players. I used to modify them and sell them on eBay, and people were just blown away by them. It would just completely destroy, in terms of sound quality, anything that you cared to throw at them. Anything modern didn't stand a chance sonically with them. And I think really that the sad fact is that DACs nowadays, they look really, really good on paper, but actually to sit and listen to them critically, listen to the frequencies and everything, they're just not up to what some of the older DACs can do. So it's just, I think a lot of people watching this, they may not have DACs, but they may be audiophiles or something, but the same would apply if you're buying a headphone amplifier with a DAC in, or a digital amp or something like that. You just need to be careful about the types of DAC it's using. And I would personally say buy older if you can. Just buy an older unit, and don't worry about the figures, because the figures don't really mean anything when you're talking about sound quality. And that's certainly true with CD players, because the second generation Philips CD104, for example, which is my principal player, on paper it looks like a piece of junk compared to, I don't know, something modern, but in actual fact, sonically speaking, is a lot better. So yeah, so this is my experience. This M2 is going back to the place I bought it from. I've got the right to send it back within 7 days for whatever reason, so I'm going to do that, because 2,000 reais, which is, I don't know, about 300 quid or whatever, is still 300 quid, and there's no way I can use this M2 with the sound quality it's got. It's just dreadful. It's like listening to mono with some artifacts to each side being, its soundstage is awful. And then some of the dynamics are just slamming in your face. There's nothing subtle about it. Especially vocals, it seems to pick the vocal frequency and really project that forward in the soundstage. Whereas this one, it's got lots of great dynamics. It balances out the sound a lot more. The soundstage is huge, and there's just no comparison. This M box just wipes the floor with this M2. And the thing is, the M box was a budget interface. It wasn't an expensive. This is an expensive piece of kit. I think it was about 250 quid or something back in the day, which I suppose was a fair amount of money. But this one in the UK, I think it's about 180 quid. But what I'm saying is, really, just be careful what you get. Try and audition them side by side before you get something. But I definitely recommend an M box over the Motu M2. So thanks very much for watching. I appreciate all the subscribers I seem to get. I seem to be getting 1 subscriber a week, which is great. I will try and make more videos on tape players and stuff like that once I get my sort of little studio workbench set up in the future. But thanks very much. Any questions you got, forward them to me. I always try and answer all the questions I get on interfaces or anything really to do with electronics. Thanks for watching.